How did you like that? How did you like that?
Surprising.
Huh?
So
Yeah,
we mean we're live, or we're just recording this, and then we'll be aired one day. Oh, or anyone
actually,
can listen now.
I don't know why it takes. I think you can listen to this on my YouTube channel, if I'm not mistaken. And I hadn't advertised this because we did it impromptu.
Yeah,
And
of course. Yeah,
we're going to have some people come on, and there's going to be some
maybe,
questions.
maybe
And
not. If not, then we record, and that's gonna be fun. Yeah, yeah, sure.
yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. Okay, so Andrew, Jaro. Oh my God,
That's all right.
I got Andrew Skevich in my mind.
That's all right. Yeah, yeah. So actually, that's probably where the name comes from. Andrushkevich. That means the son of Andros.
Okay, okay,
That is okay. No problem.
okay. So
Actually, that was my nickname in a high school, Andros. So
yeah.
it's all
Okay,
good.
so let me ask you all these standard questions here. So
Go ahead.
you're a game designer, right?
I don't know. I'm more of a publisher, I think now.
Yeah, but didn't you have a couple of games under your belt?
I do. Yeah, but I'm so busy with developing them now, and running the company that design has become a bit of a secondary thing.
Really, eh?
Yeah, which is not bad.
I mean, do you enjoy the publishing part of?
Yeah, I do. I do. That is the funny thing, I generally enjoy working at Phalanx, and I enjoy what we're doing now. And it's been a long and windy path to get there. So yeah, I do enjoy publishing.
How long has that been?
The company has been funded. Well, there is a few companies, all right. So the path, the story has started 11 years ago, 12 years ago, maybe.
And would you suggest this type of work for a young and up and coming publisher?
I'm not so sure about the young part. However, maybe there are successful people who are young and they do business, the publishing, and why not? Well, it all depends. It all depends how you want to treat it. You want to treat it as a hobby. You want to treat it as a business. If it's hobby, then anyone can do it. If it's business, then it starts to have requirements as any business. As you were running a shop or a newspaper, I think, or actually a house, book publisher. I think this is the closest you can get. Publishing books and publishing games. This is as close as it can get.
Now you have like a Phalanx office, a building Phalanx.
We have an office. That's not a building. We have we have space, which is our space, and we have I don't know how many square meters, but maybe 120 square meters altogether in Poland. And we have a business address in the UK, which is not our office, because I don't need an office here. I work from home.
Right.
And there is plenty of people working with us all across the world who are in their own houses and homes, right? Because we didn't. So the main offices are in Poland, in a city called Opole, down south. And yeah, we employ people, and people are working from there. It's, I think, around 10, 12 people, maybe.
Okay.
Now, who take care of all the nitty-gritty stuff.
Yeah.
They do all the customer service. They do the production. They do the art, most of it. They do play testing, all the logistics, the sales, the marketing, all delivery, all this things that need to be done for a product like a game to reach the person who bought it.
Now,
so it became just a normal operation, as you were just, I don't know, you can do anything.
Are you part of the playtesting crowd when you get your game?
Not. I play most of the games that we publish.
Okay, but you
At
don't
least
play
once.
test them.
At least once. But I'm not playtesting them anymore.
Okay.
Well, I'm more as a part of development. Okay, so when you develop, you need to kind of test. You cannot test without developing. Well, develop without testing, or
That's
test
right.
without
That's right.
developing.
That's right.
So you cannot really develop and give people hints or my role is different now. I think I'm more of a company's creative director. I'll put it this way.
Look, Jaro, what your most popular game to date? Can I ask you that? What is your most popular game to date?
You mean the company's popular kind of in terms of sales?
Yes.
I think there is two. I don't know the number is very to the spot, but I think there are two. One is U-Bot, and the other is Hannibal.
Hannibal, that's a Simonich game?
Yeah, that's Mark
and
Simonich game.
And there's another designer there. There's Mark Simonich and
there's my name on the box as well. Jaro Andruszkiewicz.
Yeah, okay, so that's why I asked you if you're a game designer or not. So your name on the box here, what was your role? Did you co-design this?
I didn't touch Hannibal, but I've designed Hamilcar, which is the game that comes in the same box.
Okay.
And it's on the other side of the board. That Hannibal is printed kind of on the one side and Hamilcar on the other side. And while we talk, since I wasn't 100% happy, or maybe not that way, when I've published this game, I was kind of happy with what I've done. But since then, there was enough feedback that I've redesigned it together with my friend from Netherlands, Peter van der Knap. We've redesigned Hamilcar, and it's totally a different game, and we'll be publishing rules quite soon, and the components will get updated and stuff like that. So there's going to be, I think it's much better. Much
now,
better.
did you approach Mark Simonich, or did he approach Phalanx?
I think I'm not sure if I told that story already, but it's a very long story and predates Phalanx with many years. So I think it was 2006 or something, and I was a big fan of Hannibal. I loved the game, still do. And the game was out of print for several years, and I wanted badly, to get into the business. I was running an advertising agency at the time, and I thought,
Okay.
it kind of close, right? Advertising, publishing. So all the processes already. You know how to design art and what to look good after. You know how to create things, and then how to publish them, print stuff. And I wrote to Mark one day asking, can we get a hold of the copyrights to Hannibal? And as you probably know, Hasbro, when they bought Avalon Hill, they bought the rights to all the games together,
Yeah.
and that was not possible to get these games out of Hasbro.
And
I was trying, and everyone was trying.
Why is that a problem to get these old games off of Hasbro? Why are they holding on to that license?
I think there is kind of twofold issue, but I'm only guessing. I don't have hard data. One, they don't want to let them out because that is going to kill their business.
That's going to kill their business?
Yes, of course, because that's the thinking for that potentially. That these games are going to take some share of the market, and then the Axis and Allies won't be selling so well because there'll be competition. Yeah, that's one point. Second point, there is nobody really willing to do anything because potentially the size of a business for them is like this, and they need to spend so many hours and looking through this, and where is that game? Oh, we didn't even know it exists because the people are shifting in a company, moving in, moving out. No one really knows and remembers that they have several hundred games in their portfolio, or 3 potentially. They have plans
Plans.
like, oh
They've been
yeah,
waiting a
let's
long
make them
time.
digital.
They've
This
been
is
waiting a
our
long time,
great.
man.
That's our great library of games that can be great if we publish them. The thing is, we don't have time or resources to do it, or willingness, and they are too small or not, or aged too much, and the business went another. In general, a lack of interest and willingness on the other side.
Probably.
That is my take on it. So with Mark, going back to your question,
Yeah.
it's still. So I wrote him an email out of the blue. The good thing was I was kind of becoming recognizable by the industry because I've used to be. I've befriended Kevin Zucker first. He was running his Napoleonic tours in Poland, and I helped him to run the tour. Became friends. So when I wrote. And then we started to import GMT games and selling them in Poland. So when I wrote to Mark, I had kind of like I'm that guy who sells you games, and Kevin Zucker knows me. So maybe that helped him a little, that it's not a random guy from somewhere, from faraway country that no one knows. So I wrote him an email and asking, Mark, if we cannot get this done, Hannibal, let's do Hannibal 2. I thought, in the electronic games, you have plenty of games kind of like whatever one, whenever Kings 2, King blah blah, Kings 3, and blah blah, Kings 4, 5, 6, 7. So I thought, okay, so Hannibal was there. We tweak a map a little, we throw in a few cards, we change this and that, rewrite the rules, create new art. Nobody can say anything. It's a new game, new design. We publish, we're happy. Back into business, Hannibal's in print. And we started to work on it. Mark said, yeah, why not? He's a really easygoing person. And he said, yeah, let's do it. So we started to work on it, and I had people working on, updating location names and all the little things that need to be done. And then basically maybe 1 month or 2 months after they started to work, Mark sends me an email saying, these guys from Valley Games managed to get a hold of the original rights. Like, ooh. That makes no sense to publish Hannibal and Hannibal 2 at the same time.
That's right.
So it went to the drawer, and waited there for I don't know how many years, 10 almost. Because the Hannibal. The Valley Games Hannibal became in print. I bought actually 2 copies. I was a big fan, and I thought like, okay, that's an opportunity lost. What can I do? You got to live with it. And we've restructured the company strategy because we already had we decided we want to publish games. We started to do something else, and then 10 years later, fast forward. My boy was born in August 2015, and he was born with disability. And I was like depressed, sitting at a London job that I hated. And just out of the blue, again, I wrote it to Mark, saying, Mark, Valley Games is defunct for 5 years already.
Yeah.
Stories repeated. Can we get Hannibal published? And he wrote back within like 10 minutes. Said, yes. The license expires in November, is in 1 month time. If they are not back, which is unlikely,
they're not
then you get a license. And man, I was like, yes, because that saved my life. Because I really wanted to quit that job because I had a most horrible boss in my life, a totally useless guy. Yeah, talking about you. Yeah, I don't care. He was useless.
Yeah.
Knowing that I have a boy with disability, he withdrew from me a flexible working hours. Imagine this. So I couldn't spend time at home. No, a total loser. Hopefully he learns. I cross my fingers for him because hopefully he learns one day.
You know what I was going to
and changes his approach. Maybe you need a lesson in life. I don't know.
Yaro,
Doesn't
forget
it's enough. It's enough. Forget it. He's not worth that minute or 2 minutes.
No,
Cut it
no,
out.
no.
Cut it out.
I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask you a question, and I have the same type of question. This is Jan Heinemann. Guten Abend, Jan. Wie geht's? In your opinion, we were talking about Hasbro, so they are the big publishers, I guess, right?
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
Is that over? Like, is it all small runs of 3,000 to 5,000 now with games? And a twofold question: is the era of big publishers over? First of all, what do you think?
What era of publishers?
Yeah, like Hasbro, Mattel, or whatever other company.
No. Why?
I don't know. I'm asking you. What's your opinion?
No, it's not over. No.
So
I think actually the business is consolidating now. It's a consolidation stage. I think Uwe Ecker told you about it. I've listened to that interview. He was very concerned. I'm not so concerned as him because of the one reason that I believe in entrepreneurship, and I think as soon as you see something growing big and taking over everything, there is one brave or two brave people who are thinking, you know what? While growing, they went up into the air so much, there is a room enough underneath them to start doing our little business,
Okay,
so
okay.
That is how it's growing all around the world, and every business grows this way. So I'm not concerned at all.
And you know what?
It's not over. It's not over. It's not going to be over because, so at some stage when business is so big, it becomes a money-making machine.
That's right.
It's just a money-making vehicle, nothing else.
That's right.
So it's very difficult when you employ several thousand people. It's very difficult about that mission and vision and so on.
Because the soul is
you're
gone.
at the stage. You're at the stage where you employ and fire 15 people a day. That is the reality with huge businesses, right?
I guess.
Yeah, 15 people. When I had my training, when I joined Microsoft or when I joined the other company that I used to work, the big one, we had like 15 people on that meeting. So meaning within a week, they've employed 15 people.
Wow.
Different departments, right?
Yeah.
But so another 15 or maybe 10 people left the company. And, so it's an ongoing change. So that it's very difficult to keep that focus and commitment in being precise when you run a company like this. Many of them just become many of them just start buying other stuff. Look, Facebook, or other businesses. They do develop their own product and their main thing, but they go like, okay, what is that thing that is making money now? Oh, that one. Okay, let's buy it and let's add it to the portfolio, and then we grow, and then. Oh man, that's not what I like to do.
That's what I said. Having these, if the era was over, like whatever, and you said it's great for diversity in terms of games, because just in war games, I can't believe how many subjects have been approached. Especially a guy like David Thompson, where he comes. I don't know where he gets these titles from. Like I knew about the Frogmen, the submarine guys. The Italian game, but I mean, bringing it out, making a big production like Phalanx Games does, like DVG did with his, I forget what it's called, but anyways, you know what I'm saying. And it's fun to have weird stuff like that, man. What did he do for? What did he do for you? He did this.
He did Europe Divided for us. He did Europe Divided, which is that one. Actually, I've got it here. Right. Here it is, Europe Divided.
And this game is out right now, right? We can buy this right now.
Yeah, it's in the States and Canada as well, I believe. We have a good distributor in there called Ares. They have it through Alliance. So most of the stores should have it. The thing with Europe Divided and Freedom, bound by Vangelis Bagariakis, the Greek designer.
Bagariakis.
That's all another great game.
Yeah.
Okay, so now many questions at the same time.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I do. Scusi.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. It's all right. So, but I like the flow. So, Freedom, very good ratings, all great, good. Raving reviews. It's a siege game,
yeah,
very unusual. People don't play siege games too much, but this one is more of a. It's not break the wall kind of thing. It's more of operational. Think, if you want American, or if you look at a campaign at Vicksburg or Petersburg or Richmond, it's not just firing those guns. The same goes with Freedom. It's more about what happens around that spot. So in Freedom, you have the insurgents or the freedom fighters, the Greeks, and there is an Ottoman army coming to crush them because the rebels,
yeah,
and you want to put them down. But it's not about taking that little town. It's all because the keys to the town are in the region. So you need to control that bay, you need to control that port, that range, and that little town somewhere else to create enough of a staging ground in a way for your siege to be successful.
yeah.
You need to cut away the reinforcements, the food, supplies, everything, so they are isolated. So that little town Messolonghi is in a little lagoon like Venice.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to isolate it because they can go under the lagoon and they can fish for food, or they can on the shallow, the low draft boats, they can go to other places. For the party that is besieging them, it was very difficult to the Turks. It was very difficult to take them, and it took a year to take out that little town. So funny thing is, with this one, we have raving reviews for our Greek friends because there is close to none other great games about modern Greece. There are plenty about ancient Greece, but not about modern Greece. At the same time, in Europe Divided, when we were working on a map, we've made a simplification, call it. I don't consider it really a mistake, for which they hate me, because we've placed a name Macedonia on the map, and the Macedonia we've put was Macedonia in the south of Yugoslavia, which is something that it's like a red cloth for the Greeks, because according to them, Macedonia is part of Greece.
That's right.
So you cannot take a name Macedonia and apply it to any other region. Macedonia is in Greece and it's Greek, and then it's maybe I'm not so sure about Alexander of Macedon. Would he be in agreement? But that's another story. And I don't want to challenge them, but that's funny for me as a publisher to have their total support with one title, Freedom, and total contempt with Europe Divided. So you see the same Greeks are on the fence. Do they like us or not? Because on one hand, we made a game about Greek Greek War of Independence, one of the most pivotal event in their history, and we've done it with all our heart and commitment. And it is a real difficult subject to market. Trust me. Have we put it on a science fiction theme and had aliens assaulting, some isolated human outpost somewhere there, we would be selling this in thousands.
Yeah.
Because the mechanics are great.
So isn't that a good idea?
Great game.
Like that?
Huh?
Isn't that a great idea to do something like that?
Yeah, that's what we've discussed from day one. We've played the game saying, yeah. Greeks and Ottomans. Yes. Not the best subject. No. You know what I mean? Like that's not driving people's imagination, so to say.
Well,
however, it's an exciting thing to learn, and it's good to and Vangelis, who was like, no, it has to be about Missolonghi. I'm like, Vangelis, no, let's put it in a in a space. We do the miniatures for the ships, and it's gonna be. But he was not interested. He told me this. There is another game that is called 2 de Mayo, 2nd of May, which is a very simple game on a Spanish uprising in Madrid in 1808. Yeah, Napoleon took Madrid, and the Spanish rebel. And that is a very, very simple game. There's Dos de Mayo. You can look it up. Very nice. Very simple game, which sold very well, despite not very popular subject, right? So Macedonia is not for the nuts. That is probably macadamia nuts. I'm not sure if they're coming from Macedonia, though. Who knows? That is true. That's I've learned just something.
Well, I mean, that's from Matt Chestnut, you know.
True. Yeah. So yeah. So so the same Greeks, they have the hate and love relationship with us now. But that's okay. If we run.
They're proud people, man.
Yeah, I love them. I love Greece and Greeks. That was one of the reasons we actually decided to make Freedom as it is, as a game about Greece, not about science fiction setting on some faraway, planet.
Jaro.
Yeah.
What's happening with this game? I'm waiting for this game. Where is it?
It's probably on the way to the print house, or maybe very close to. So with this game, that's another gem that I thought that I've loved it, and funny enough, we had a contract with Tetsuya Nakamura years ago for a Polish edition of that game. When MMP published the English one, I loved it so much. Ha ha ha! Hey, Dave.
He wasn't invited. I didn't ask him to come on.
He never is invited, but somehow he always shows up. So Fire in the Sky, I love the game, and I wanted to publish it so badly that I signed a contract for a Polish edition, and we call it P200. We wanted just 200 pre-orders, and we couldn't get them, and we decided not to do it. And then it was sitting on a to-do list for years. And as I was looking through all these great titles to republish, because apart from publishing great games from Dave Thompson, we also republished the great games of other designers, which the games that have some history, not about history, but have some publication history before. Fire in the Sky was there. I knew it was out of print. People would like. So whenever the game is hitting around $100 mark on BGG, a second hand, this is where I'm looking at like, it has to be republished. So that was the case with Hannibal. That was the case with Fire in the Sky. So I wrote back to Tetsuya, and he said, "Yeah, why not?" So we were about to publish this year, and it took so long because we had to recreate all the art. So not just the box, but the map and the counters, and it takes a lot of time because every silhouette on every little counter had to be redrawn from scratch, right?
Yeah.
So we're not changing. There is also new scenarios coming. I think 2 or 3 new scenarios, which will make the game quite shorter because it takes 6 hours to play. If you want to play a whole war.
Yeah.
Well, there are shorter scenarios that we've learned with Hannibal are helping a lot. People who want to play, just 1 hour, 2 hours.
Of course.
Yeah. So that's what we're packing into it. It's on the list to be published in 2020.
Now,
so
I'm going to ask. I jump around from question to question because you say.
That's how it's exciting.
Now you said you saw this game $100, and then ding, bells are ringing. You got to republish it. Now, have you ever played a John Butterfield game called Ambush?
Yeah, I know that one.
Now
I've approached John. He said no.
Really?
I think he may have other arrangements. So I'm not. That's the thing is the fact that something is there does not mean it's ready for publication because maybe somebody else is already doing it. So when we started to do it, I found that many publishing houses, they follow our kind of path, or they rediscovered this concept as well, and republishing games. I wanted to publish Victory in the Pacific. Compass is doing it. I wanted to publish Police, which is a great game by the Spanish designer. You know Police?
No.
No, it's a simple Sparta Athens game. In a no.
No.
Should
Sorry.
I look on my? Do you want me to show? No, you can Google up.
Yeah.
So I wanted to publish that, and then it seems that Fran has decided to go with Devir, and so on. We're not alone on the market. I would wish, but that's we're not alone on the market, and we're not the only one who are doing the same thing. However, we were successful with successors. That is something that I'm very excited about.
Well,
There.
Hold on a second.
That way here.
That way, this one here.
Yeah,
that's a beautiful cover, man. And I just bought a helmet like that.
You did?
Yes, sir.
Oh, brilliant!
I'm telling you.
We got a lot of criticism for this helmet, especially from my Polish friends. Surprise, surprise. That's another story. We have a saying in Polish. It's very difficult to be a prophet in your own country.
Yes, of course. We have that here. Yeah.
So that's the case. So it's very difficult for Phalanx to enjoy the same kind of
success in Poland than you're doing in England.
Not success. We are successful. That's all right. But kind of prestige, or maybe, I don't know, kind of, I don't know how to put it. We're questioned.
Yeah.
What we do is being questioned by our Polish friends very often, which I enjoy to extent. And there was thank you. So I do. But it's on the last stages. The minis are. I'm answering the question that I see on the bottom.
Yeah, I got you, man. I got you.
We were the factories in China are very busy now, pushing, pressing out as thousands of minis. I remember with Hannibal, we've published. I think the amount of minis that came on a ship from China was bigger than Hannibal's army in Cana.
I guess. I mean, who would have thought of a stat like that? But anyways.
Yeah. But I like to look at it like this from this perspective. Like, actually, more than he had in his very successful battle. So. So I've got criticism for that cover because that's historic, and it is historic because that helmet comes from years before Alexander. It's not the helmet from the times of Alexander. However, it's been on the cover of a great book, Ghost by the Throne, and it's on the cover of the game. Because of the two things. First, it was still used at the time of Alexander, maybe not primary choice, but it was still there. And second, it sends the message the way I want. Because the moment we started to show Alexander in the helmet from the times of Alexander, Furnace mechanics, I'll get to this in a moment.
Yeah.
It looked like Papa Smurf. Remember that Papa Smurf?
Yeah, I never liked the Smurfs.
Phrygian, that's a Phrygian helmet. It looks funny. It is. It has that ball on the end. It looks a Papa Smurf helmet. We had a cover with this. We showed the cover. Everyone was laughing.
Now hold
Everyone
on.
was laughing. Like, okay.
Check this out.
Fire in the Sky. There is a if I've used that time for it. There is a great write-up on BGG on how it works. It actually reminds me very much. Here we go. Ave. No, Ave. It's
no, Ave. What's the matter with you?
You're Italian, aren't you?
Yeah, I know. But this is Spartan, man. This King Leonidas, man.
Yeah, that's actually very, very. That fits very well our brand name.
Yes, of course. So
I really appreciate. You want to stay like this till the end?
It pushes my nose a bit.
It does. Protects it though as well. So firing the sky mechanics, I would suggest that that you look up the BGG. There's a great write-up on how it works, and but for me, the game it has two layers. One layer is strategic, where you need to plan, especially in the Japanese, you need to plan all your operations, watching your logistics, so watching your level basically of oil, because that is the detrimental factor in their operations. The allies, they can do whatever they want basically as soon as they get all their carriers in place. So the beginning they are restricted because they don't have enough carriers, and then when they grew in numbers, the Japanese are restrained and they have to defend. So it follows the traditional kind of thinking about a conflict, which probably was what it would be anyway, looking at how much US output, what was the industrial output of US versus Japan. But when you play the tactical side of it, the battles, it becomes more like a battle game, like a classical, you roll the die, and then the die tells you have so many hits, but the hits can be nullified, cancelled by the defensive rolls. So there's a lot of die rolling in it, but it represents very well the tactics. So you actually roll the number of dice equal to the number of squadrons of Japanese air coming, and you see that they're effective this and that much. So you have 6 squadrons coming, but you only have 2 hits, and you see those planes going through the air, and it's very graphic. It helps it's the way it's been played helps imagination very well. That's what I love the most of it. Now, so please look up the write-up on the BGG. It's explaining it very well.
Japanese, obviously. Did you speak to him personally, Tetsuya?
To Tetsuya, no, just letters.
Okay. Because it's
and funny enough, originally, no, I think it was email from start, but then I got the best of it was I got a contract. And it came in a letter from Japan with Japanese signs on it, letters on it, So it felt very unreal, I still have it in my drawer. It felt like, wow, amazing, So in my times at the advertising agencies 30 years ago, I think I used to work with Japanese company across the time zones, which was funny because whenever these guys were leaving home at 7 and I've just went to the office, I had to come to the office early in order to be able to. That was something, So
now I want to ask you about your. Well, I mean that's a pre-order game too. ROCKETMEN.
Yeah, that's Martin Wallace. That's a great name in the industry.
Is there any war
no, well, conflict. So you see, that's how we were trying to find everyone probably does, or maybe not, maybe not even, maybe actually not everyone, but we did. We were trying to find that what is the mission or the vision for the company that we have, and we thought war games, but it turned out it's not what is our DNA, really. What our DNA is more about conflict. So we like to publish games which do about conflict in some way, this way or another. It does not have to be a direct armed forces on both sides. It could be conflict is what I think drives humanity forward. That's what being called, or even better, competition. That's what Bill Gates says. Competition drives humanity forward. So at some stages we cooperate, and some stages we compete, and that is the driving factor. Without competition, there would probably not much of a progress, or be slower. That's what I believe. People may have different take on it. I think competition helps, to bring better stuff.
Yes.
And this one was. So conflict simulations is exactly, Brandon, thank you. So conflict simulations is more how we would define Phalanx in its international kind of outlook, because you need to know that Phalanx is like Janus, right?
Yeah.
The god with two faces.
Yeah.
It has the face that is international, and that is conflict simulation games, and we rarely publish anything else. And the other one is the Polish Phalanx, which operates on the same brand, has the same people working on it. The only thing that's different is that we publish licensed games as well, just on the Polish market. As you've seen, Viticulture, for example.
Yeah.
We work with Stonemaier Games, with Roxley Games, with great stuff like, we published Sight, we published Brass Birmingham and Blood Lancashire in Polish. We published many other Tortuga and many other games just in Polish, but most of them, the international ones, that's the other Janus's face. That's the conflict simulations. So Martin Wallace's ROCKETMEN, the concept grew up in this head. I was looking at different races, because we had that Race to the Rhine game published in 2014, became the best game in France, or the best war game in France, was nominee to best war game 2014 on the BGG. And I was looking at other races games, and Valdemar, my partner, he designed Race to Moscow, that is also due this year. And I was looking at other races, and one of the races I was thinking about, I was kind of fascinated actually about, was the Race to the Moon, or Race to the Space. I thought that is actually more Race to the Space. But between people who are billionaires, who have everything in terms of money, they're top, kind of, like,
yeah, they're not wanting for anything.
They can have anything.
Yeah.
Apparently, no. There is something they cannot have, or they cannot be first. They cannot be first, or they want to be first in something. Yeah. So we took that a bit of an ironic approach, like, yeah, you really, you want to be first in something, yeah, and you cannot be, because there are other billionaires out there, and they're competing in their own league. There is own league of billionaires that we're competing. We're competing under the publishers. They're competing, and they're making more money. They're making so much money that if they find $100 banknote, they don't even lean for it. Right? It's too much time. So they do compete, and the press is full of it. I was like looking at it like, that's just a game subject, a brilliant one, yeah. And so we did. So we talked to Martin, and he liked the idea. He said, "Yeah, that's a good." I've approached him a couple of times with different ideas that I thought could be cool, and I think they still could be cool, but maybe that doesn't have a ring with him. It has to ring with the designer. It has to be, like,
the guys
resonate within him. Yeah, he's like, "Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I like it." So he liked it, and it took him a year. One day, in Birmingham, he said, and I've got that game with me. I want to show you." So it was after the fair closed, people were removing their stands, and we had a table in the middle of that almost empty hall, and we sat there and played a game of what was then called Elon. And then we were looking for a title, because we didn't like maybe we actually like the concept of calling it Elon, but we thought, lawyers, if somebody out there thinks, there's some money to make. So why? So we said, let's look. There are other names, and first there was the ROCKETMEN, and then the ROCKETMEN, which again got some criticism because the ending of men, it should be right, rocket people.
Come on.
Yeah. That's a lady on BGG that rated it 1 just for that reason. So
yeah, well, that
So I'm not paying much attention, but sometimes this makes me funny. Like, I rated it 1 because politically I think this and that. Come on, it's a game.
Don't get me started on this PC stuff, man, because I'm gonna. Hey, okay, wait. I want to ask you something, because I'm gonna lose this train of thought. Now, you asked Martin Wallace about this space game. Now, is it a coincidence that Compass has a space game, GMT has a space game, Phalanx has a space game? Isn't there another company coming out with a space game?
Oh, it's yeah, it is kind of, I don't know why, but maybe so. Great minds think alike. That's one take. Another take is we're not living on separate continents. We read the same news. We're inspired by the same things.
Yes.
It's very difficult to escape this. You have to go to a show of a local cultural show that deep in Greece and be enchanted by it and think, wow, that's a game in it. And then you come up with the concept for freedom, as Vangelis did with Messalongi, yeah? But if you read the same media, you read the same papers, and you think about the same things, because you can't escape it really, unless you do, then the same concept may come to your head. As simple as that.
Right.
There is also so there was a year or 2 years ago, there was a number of games about Mars. Mars this, Mars that, man. There was a movie called Martian as well.
Right.
Then now we have Dune.
Yes.
Finally, the original Dune, I mean that game from ages, which was such a great thing to play, has got republished, but with it comes others. Why? Because there is a movie coming, and the company that is publishing that movie finally realized that there is money in it, so they're selling licenses like crazy. Yeah,
right.
Like Star Wars. So I'm afraid of it jumping out of my can, when I'm opening it.
Yeah.
So everywhere. So that I put it on that. I bet that's the answer. Inspiration comes from the same sources. The end result's similar.
Yeah, no, I understand. I guess it's that simple. Yes, you're right.
Or 1920. The good thing is it's less popular a subject. 1920, right? There is not too many games about it. That's the Polish War of Independence in 1920 against Soviet Russia, which was trying to regain the control over what was once the Imperial Russia, but that's a remake of a game that was published 25 years ago. That's a hex encounter, but very, very nice. It felt a novelty 25 years ago, and still does.
I'm surprised that David Thompson didn't design this game.
Yeah, Jarosław Flis did. He is a personality now. He's a professor of sociology at University of Krakow, the best Polish university. And quarter of a century ago, we were just mates, and he was a university student, so I was, and he published that game, and we played it, and we liked it. We discussed this, and then that's a story I love to tell. And maybe 2 months ago, just prior to the 100th anniversary of those events, which was August 1920, was the final. They call it miracle on Vistula, which some people don't like the concept that a miracle that has some
religious connotation.
Religious, and that suggests that there was a direct intervention of God, while that was the victory of Polish arms rather than that. But it was a miracle because my take on it is miracle because it was very unlikely. It looked like it's done. Poland's conquered. And out of nowhere, basically, that counteroffensive came and defeated the Russians. And Poles were technically, until the war of Afghanistan, the only nation that was able to defeat Soviet Russia. If you look at it from that perspective.
Only in Polish?
Huh? Sorry?
The game's
no, that's going to be published in English. That's what we do. So I saw the interview with him on a political subject because he's very often being interviewed by news and media, television and stuff. And at the end of that interview, somebody from the public is asking the question, just as I was during our conversation. Would you be interested in republishing that game? And he says. He smiles, he's excited. He says, immediately you see that there is a gamer in it. He's more excited about the game than all about the political stuff that he was talking about. Yeah. And he says, yes, if there is someone interested, the game's ready for publication. It's been adjusted, polished, and updated, and it's ready for publication if there is anyone willing. So, like, took me like 5 minutes. Wrote in an email, hey, how about we publish? He wrote back, yes. So we work on it now. Yeah. So, those
That's great. That's great. Yeah. And you know what? On another subject, some of this art 1920 coalitions, domination, there's a, is that the same artist?
Actually, it's 3S. But not, and ROCKETMEN and successors as well. However, not Age of Napoleon, and I don't know what else. So not U-Bot.
Who's the
artist? I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh, come on, man!
Because there is some Bartosz Jędrzejewski. That's the artist, the guy he works with us. Huh?
Fantastic! I love the art.
Thank you. Yeah. I hope he's back from his holiday tomorrow, so maybe he could have a look and be excited. Yeah. So it's so that is his work. However, we cooperate. So, for example, I often like to, of course, there is me behind it. Of course, that's now. For example, what we do, and we do with many things in the company. It's not just this, not just art, but many things in the company are being decided on with feedback from different people, and we take a lot of care to listen. So often it is one of us, often me, bringing an inspiration for art. So the one on the top, domination, I once saw American mobilization poster, and I thought, yeah, that's actually kind of what we want, but not exactly that. I didn't want to copy it. I didn't want to just quote. I wanted to adjust it the way it looks, the way it does. So there are those ships and tanks and infantry is going and coming, and there are the planes. It seems like we are serious about something, yeah? So that was the idea, and that the execution was him, and we had like 9 different types of different coloring, different shades, different shapes and stuff and that. So the same was with 1920, for example. There was some concept when we worked on it, because what I saw in most of the games of that subject was showing the cavalry, the Konarmia, the Russian cavalry fighting with Polish cavalry, which actually was not that often. There was only one of the biggest, the last and the biggest cavalry battles of 20th century was fought by Polish and Soviet forces, but it was not the main thing in the war, if you know what I mean. Like, it was not about riding cavalry in 1920. They had tanks, they had airplanes, they had armored trains, they had machine guns. Everything was just after the First World War. So they had all the technical, support.
Yeah, I got it.
And I just didn't want to show the cavalry again. Yeah, say like, cavalry. And thanks to the Italian correspondence from the Second World War, we had that picture of a Polish cavalryman fighting against German tank, which is a nice, which was a propaganda at the time,
right?
And it also portrays the dramatic situation Poland was facing, kind of fighting that steel monster.
Yeah,
right? Actually, this is what you see on art by Różalski on a site. You have that monsters. He has those steampunk mechs fighting in a scenery of 1920. That is it's not on this page, but it doesn't matter. I think people know Różalski and the art on site. So I thought that's what we want to show. We want to show technology. We want to show that there were airplanes, there were tanks, there were armored trains, and that's why the picture looks like that. We have an airplane that is American connection as well, because there were American guys fighting in that squadron for Poland during that war, and they were paying back the debt. They said they came to pay the debt that America had to Pulaski and Kościuszko, the 2 Polish generals, and many Polish volunteers who fought for the United States during the War of Independence. So they came back to pay back to that.
I see.
Look, it's 4 o'clock at my clock. I'm not sure you have enough time because I can talk for hours.
I see that, but you know what? For me, it's incredibly interesting when you talk, Jaro, because one, you seem well educated in your history, and that's why I'm not saying much. I'm listening, and sometimes when something hits me in the head, that's when I'll change subject. Like now.
Yes, go ahead.
Well, I saw this here. What's this?
Yeah. That's what I said. This is the Polish Phalanx. You see, there is a Roxley logo on it as well.
Yeah.
So this is the license from Roxley, which we were happy to publish in Polish, just for the Polish market. And that's Brass Birmingham. So that's Brass. It's number, I don't know, it used to be number 14 on the BGG. I think this game is number 3 on BGG now.
This game, Brass.
Yeah, Brass Birmingham. If you haven't played it, it's not about war. It's economical game, but it's a really, really good one. It's cutthroat competition. You know, you're trying to build the industry in
Victorian England.
Victorian England.
That's a setting, okay.
Yeah.
And is that the same artist as the guy who did Tortuga?
No. That is the license. So you see, some of the games are made in-house. Some of the games were just licensed. So we pay money to get a license that we publish in Polish, and then we sell it in Poland. Same about this one. So that is the original Brass Lancashire that was Martin Wallace designed many years ago, and then it was also in a limbo, not republished for many years. And the guys at Roxley, Gavin, wrote to Martin one day, and his story is very similar to mine of Successors and Mark Simonich.
Okay.
So Martin wrote back saying, "Why not? You can have it." And then he made a gem. It's the publication quality is outstanding. Outstanding.
Do you have any?
Oh, Twilight Struggle, for example. We also published Twilight Struggle in Polish. So if you haven't seen Twilight Struggle with a square box, this is where it is.
There we go. It is square, eh?
Yeah, it is square. So original is rectangle because that's GMT standard, but we do square, so we changed it to be square.
So now you're making it difficult for me to put it on my game shelf because it's a weird thing. You ever think about that?
It's very handy.
Yeah.
Square is the best. My perspective is the best because it offers you the best ratio of on the shelf in the store.
I understand. You got to think about these things when you're a publisher. Me as a game player,
unfortunately, but you do.
So Phalanx has a lot of games licensed from other companies. I see here.
Yeah. Some of them, like the Penguins of Madagascar, that's again just Poland, but that's our game. So you see, that's the reason. The reason behind it is because we've started as a Polish company, publishing just on the Polish market. So that is a license from DreamWorks.
Yeah, I know. That must be incredibly expensive, man.
Yeah, it's been expensive.
Eesh. You know, talking about billionaires, there's 3 of them there, huh?
No, but that's what you do, sometimes. So, I don't want to bore you to death, but Phalanx started as we first had just an online store that wasn't even called Phalanx. It was called Diablos Polacos because that is how the Spanish
Polish
called, Polish devils. That is Spanish called the Polish guys fighting against their independence alongside Napoleon, because Poles are alongside some Italians, I think, probably the only nations that think of Napoleon as of a good guy rather than a bad guy, right?
I just asked that question. Why is he revered so much, Napoleon?
In Poland?
No, I was asking a Frenchman from France. I mean, obviously, but wasn't he? This guy was a terror.
Not for us.
No, but I mean, you know what I'm saying, man.
He was. There were many of them. Of course, if you're looking at that from the kind of more objective perspective than
Yeah.
subjective, then yes. On the other hand, believe it or not, I've met a lot of refugees from Arabic states back in '90s.
Yeah.
After the war of Saddam attacked Kuwait. Remember,
Yes.
there were a lot of refugees from Kuwait, from Palestine, from Iraq, Iran as well, during their war with Iraq or just after. And they lived close by to where I used to live in Poland. They had there was a refugee camp, and it was with my friends. We spent time together, so I have no problem with refugees at all, or migrants. And they were my friends. I've practiced my English with them because they were the only foreigners that I knew. And some of them spoke brilliant American English because they were from good families in Kuwait or Palestine, Lebanon as well.
Yeah.
And why I'm saying this? Because my perspective was Saddam Hussein is a bad guy. And they said, no. Like, why not? He invaded. He was fighting with Iran. Yeah, but Iran, it's a different story, right? Iran, they have differences with Iraq. So they probably won't be forming one nation anytime soon or one country. But Iraq was capable of forming a one state with Kuwait, maybe Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, potentially, right? They used to be part of the Ottoman Empire together. They were carved by the imperialist French and British, and what they told me, Saddam Hussein is the only person capable of uniting us again. But I'm saying yes, but he's doing it as a use of force. It's not really kind of Arabic Union, kind of everyone loves everybody, like we've signed some treaty and we become friends and we have €1, or sorry, whatever that would be, and we fly and we have. It's not going to be a happy thing. I said, no, it's going to be a lot of suffering and fights and wars, but we're going to be united at the end of it. Here we go. So that is your Napoleon. That's the answer. Look, we're 200 years later in the same place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but nothing's going to change.
Even worse, funny thing, until the beginning of the year, well, UK was part of the European Union. You could argue that opposing Napoleon made any sense. Because, okay, we didn't like Napoleon, we didn't like Hitler, so we united on our own terms. We're all one family together. But look at the map of Europe today, United Europe, and look at a map of Napoleon, the continental Europe, continental system Europe. Where's the difference? Okay, Greece wasn't there, which is part of it. Corfu was part of it. So he had some designs on Greece potentially because he took Corfu. So part of Greece was in. Croatia was in Napoleonic Europe. If you go down to Dubrovnik, Ragusa, or Split actually, Split, there is Marmontova Street. Marmontova from the Marshal Marmont, who was the provincial governor for Dalmatia. To this day, there is Marmontova Street in Split.
Now,
so
Jaro, what was your field of study? Because you seem to be engrossed in that history here.
Funny enough, I've studied tourism, but I was interested in geography and history very much.
Okay,
and I then studied political science as my major. I did the tourism bit, and then I went traveling for some years, worked as a tour guide, which my natural interest in history helped to do. Led tours in Italy as well, by the way. And then I got back and I went for political science. I wanted to study journalism and political science originally, but when I was due to go to university, that was 87, it was many years ago. In 87, in order to study journalism, history, not so much, but you'll be studying a different type of history, or political science, you'd need to be read in Poland back in 1987.
You need to be read.
Red. Yeah, it was a communist country, well, socialist country, call it, if you want.
Yes,
So
okay.
in order to you'd be studying different version of history, which I
Yes,
was not very keen on doing it.
I
Or in
understand.
a political science, you'll be learning about a social economy.
Yes.
Like, is that a type of economy you really want to learn about? No.
Mm.
So I wanted to study, instead, I decided geography will be a choice. But I couldn't get there. It was too many people to get there. I was like just below the line, not enough points to get there. Because remember, in order to get to university, you also have points for being a son of a worker or a
Wow.
peasant.
Wow.
And I was stupid because, in fact, my parents were self-made people. They were not what we called intelligentsia. They were not highly educated people. They were like, it was the way they were okay, but they were not university graduates. They were not
Yeah.
working in universities or as a lawyers. They were just working for military unit as a civilian workers.
Yeah.
And I could have claimed I'm a worker's son, and I should have probably, but I was too proud to do it. And I said I'm part of intelligentsia. So it knocked me down on the list.
Yeah.
And I had to accept studying geology that I hated with all my heart. That was the only part of geography that I hated. And I had to study this for 2 years to avoid being drafted into the army. That I had enough because I lived by a military unit with parents working there for 20 years. So I knew it inside out without going there. And I knew I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I was compulsory service then. So I've hid on university for 2 years. And then I lived until 1989 at the university. And then 1989, you know what happened, right? It was, the revolution, blah, blah, blah. And then I've switched for tourism. And then 2 years, when I was just about to finish secondary, that kind of bachelor's, not even bachelor's, secondary study. I've heard that advertisement on a radio station, and they were looking for journalists. Like, when there? I knew my history because I was interested in, the real history. Because if you have shit history around you, you want to learn about a real history.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew my history, I knew my geography, I knew politics because everyone was politically active at the time. Went to the radio station. I had a voice, and I agreed to employ me. So I became a journalist in the radio station. That was my first real job.
Well,
that's why we can talk another 4 hours. I wouldn't be even tired.
And you know what is we're gonna wrap it up here, and I'm gonna ask you.
Yeah, sure. Maybe next time. We waited for what, 2 years before we go together.
Yeah, but that's you. Me, I've been hounding you for a long time. I know Magdalena. She was so nice, Magdalena. What happened?
She's still nice.
What happened to her?
She's not working with us anymore. The other thing is, as of every company, people are moving in and out. Maybe not that quick as in other businesses, the huge businesses, but they are. And some like it, some don't like it, some get an experience and they move on. Some, things happen. So people move in and out.
I on her Facebook, she said she's going back to school studying philosophy.
Yeah. So people move in and out, and to my grief often, because it's often very, very nice, very good people that we would love to keep and work with, but they go on. They moved. There was a great guy working for us in customer service who decided, I like it here, but I want to go to London. So he went.
Well, okay.
So I did at some point,
Yeah. Well, look, Jaro, thanks for doing this. We're gonna do it again. Let's keep in touch. Yeah, I want to talk to that guy Andrew's gonna get a beating from me one day. But anyways. And thank you, people, for
thank you, Dan. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I wasn't expecting anyone, so it's nice of you to come join us.
Coffee. That's what we're doing. We're having coffee, and we could go on and on and on. And I could listen to you for a long time, man. I mean, because
thank you.
History is very, very interesting.
Yeah, so it is for me, and
it is for me. I mean, when I went to WBC, okay, and I was with Mark Herman, and I could just talk, Mark, just talk. And the guy talks, and it's everything is interesting because I'm interested in what you have to say, what Mark has to say.
You're a great interviewer because that is the key to be great interviewer is to be great listener. Many interviewers forget about it, and it becomes their show rather than the show of the guest. I really appreciate the way you do it. So it's someone that sometimes you need to help people talking, but if you have a natural talker like Mark Herman, then then you don't need to do much. They will do it for you.
That's right. And I asked Mark, can I interview? Because how often am I going to get to see Mark Herman? And he says, yeah, sit down. We had a bottle of scotch, which we drank half of it that night. Anyways, we had a bottle of scotch. I turned on the camera, and we just talked about like you and I, and I mean less of the. He didn't want to talk too much about his business stuff because it was secret a little bit because he worked for whatever, and we talked for an hour and a half, and people were saying this is the best interview ever, and I didn't say a thing. And he talked about his granddaughter and what life's about and the great times. Oh my God, fantastic. But anyways, okay, Jaro, I'm going to stop talking.
Thanks for finding time. I know it was difficult to match the timing, but thank you very much, Dan. All the best. Thank you, everyone.
Hold on a second. Stick around. Here we go. Boom.